Are you looking to move to Orlando and you're super concerned about how expensive it is to even get out here, especially if you're moving long distance? Well, I feel your pain. I've done that move myself from California to Florida in Orlando, and I'm here to give you a whole video breakdown of what the current rough cost is to make the move to Orlando, and I'm telling you, it has gotten crazy expensive. Let's get into it. What's up, everyone? My name is Cameron Hodge. On this channel, I talk about making the move to and living in Orlando, Florida, and I absolutely love it. I drop videos for you every single week to help you make that move to Orlando, Florida, and find out how to do it the best way possible. So hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I drop a new video. Also, being a licensed real estate agent in Orlando, I love helping you create those plans and make those real estate decisions when moving to Orlando. This number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. You can call me, text me, email me. It doesn't matter how or when you do it. It is me here to help you, not some random person, not another person. It is me here to help you make that decision when moving out here, and my team, and I absolutely love it. So reach out. Let's create that plan, and here to help you do it. So getting into the video, cost of moving to Orlando. Obviously, it varies. There's so many variables between DIY. Are you just loading up your car and making the move out here? Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, there are so many variables to this, but I just want to give a little overview of what the cost is, because I don't know, it popped in my head the other day and I just decided to look into it. And I'm like, you know what? How much has the cost gone up from moving here? You know, because we have clients that come out here, but we don't always cover like how expensive it was, right? Like, I'm not here to be like, how expensive was it coming out here? Let me know. You know what I mean? Like, because they get out here. Their big concern is getting out here and getting into that right home for them. But holy cow, guys, it is not gotten cheap. But I'm here to give you a rough breakdown, and we'll, cover it right now. Okay, so obviously one of the first things you can do is, obviously, if you're just loading up your car, your biggest expense is going to be gas, which obviously national average, I think it's around the $4 change somewhere. It's way too much. That's all that matters. But, I think most of us are going to need some kind of truck, or maybe even full service like we went with. So look, obviously a moving truck, when it comes to local moves, like, it could be as cheap as $130 if you're just getting some random truck, or it could be as much as $1,780. And that's just for renting the truck. That's not like gas. That's not insurance on the truck. That's nothing. That is literally just the average cost I found for just a rental truck. Obviously that varies between the companies, where you're coming from. And I'll tell you right now, if you're leaving one of those blue states, and it has nothing to do with politics, it's just a fact that because people are leaving those states, these moving companies will definitely charge you more. Like, if you ever look at the research, let's say you're moving from LA to Orlando. If you run the cost to move from LA to Orlando and then run it going back, it's going to be substantially cheaper going from Orlando to LA. It's nuts, but these companies know what they're doing, and they make sure to get every single penny from you when it moves out here. Can you tell I had a little bit of pain when it came out here? Because holy cow. It's just obnoxious how expensive it is. Obviously, the DIY, it's going to be one of the cheapest options. So I'm not going to get super in depth. Obviously, another option you have when it comes to moving out here, you have the DIY truck, right? $1,700 long distance move, not including gas and insurance and all that stuff, which is just going to add a couple more thousand onto that at least. And that's also, it depends on what kind of size truck you're going. Do you need a large truck? Are you going the smallest possible? Are you doing a tow behind trailer? A lot of factors here, guys. I'm just trying to get the general overview of this. Now, looking at my notes here, so obviously you can hire also movers, what we did. So obviously we had family in California when we were leaving. So yes, we could have gotten family help to load a truck or something like that. But when it came to unloading in Orlando, we don't have anyone here. Like, I think I have distant family that I don't even know. I don't know. Apparently they're here. I don't really talk to much of my family like that. But, my wife's super close to her family. They would have helped us load, but we don't have anyone here to help us unload once we get here. And that's what's unfortunate about it. And so if you're like us, now we have 3 kids at the time, like two sons. Like, they were young. I don't have the time to be unloading the truck. Like, it's not gonna be hard enough to make sure they're happy just even making the drive out to Florida, right? So not something that we wanted to deal with. So we went through movers. Now, the average cost for hiring movers ranges between, it's about $1,400, but it ranges between $800 to $2,500. Mind you, that is a 2-person local move. I know, right? You're like, oh, that's not too bad for a long distance. Yep, nope, sorry, that's for local moves. $800 to $2,500 is what you start to pay for local movers, and that's just a 2-person team. Now, I will say, you don't need a giant team. Like, a lot of these big companies, unless you're like moving a mansion or you have special equipment, sure. understand we have luxury clients. They need their special support, especially when they have large homes. But for the average, American making the move out here, maybe not American, but you know what I mean. The average person making the move to Orlando, 2-person team, like a good 2-person team, man, they can. Oh man, I put them to shame. Sometimes I look at them and I've had them move and I'm like, I'm not paying you enough. Now, for long distance moves, that average cost goes from $2,200 to about $5,700 for a 2-person moving team. Now, the caveat to this is there's a lot of big companies, which we will get to in the next step, but not all small 2-person team. Like there are, I'm sure, local smaller options to make the move out here. We didn't go with that option, but I do know there are local options. Heck, when we initially sold our, one of our condos, going years back now, but we had a 2-person moving company, and they joked around like, hey, with the right price, we'll make the drive out to Florida. That's great, but I kind of wanted some more structure when it came to doing that. So keep in mind that number. I'm kind of wondering where they get those figures from, because obviously the bigger companies will charge a lot more. So obviously $2,200 to $5,700 for these moving companies, right? Personally, I randomly ran through some quotes with some companies, right? Just to kind of give like a 2 to 3 bedroom quote. I mean, if you're looking to do like a full service mover, I'm talking like the vetted companies, insurance included, like they get a team to pick up and a team to drop off, where you can choose to pay more and get them to pack everything, or you pack it yourself and they just load, whichever. They help you set up your home when you get there. Like we went through like Mayflower. These big companies, I mean, there's quotes are ranging from, let's say it's like a 3-bedroom home, like anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 for a 2 to 3 bedroom, depending on how much stuff you have. It's a lot. Obviously, that's more closer to like a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, probably could be a little bit less. And that's like this is like the cheaper part of the year when I was running these numbers. It's insane. But like, so if you're looking for full service, get ready to pay a premium price. Obviously, luxury comes price. And so if you need that luxury or need that help, that might be something you have to deal with. Now, keep in mind, if you are getting like we tried to downsize everything before we came out here, there are ways to make that cheaper. Now, obviously, gas is what really causes this to be so much expensive. That's where a lot of your cost is being added, is fuel cost. Massive. So no matter which option you choose, it's going to kill you. Obviously, you can do like pods, things like that. And that's where you can cut down a little bit less, because maybe you have help loading, right? There are ways to get around it. You can help, maybe you have like either a small team help you load the pod. And sometimes the cool thing about like pod type storage companies and pods is they can store it for you. So maybe you're in a transaction or you're not quite sure where you're renting or whatever. You can get those places to store for a set monthly fee. And that's pretty cool. The cool thing about pods, if you do go that route, the hard thing about pods is like the containers add up really quick if you have a lot of items. That's the only downfall with pods that I found. But it's a climate controlled facility, and if you ever, let's say they have a facility, I can't remember where exactly outside Orlando, but it's pretty close. I think it might be actually be in Orlando. Let's say you get all your stuff there and you're still searching, you're living in a hotel or whatever, you can still go to the facility and say, hey, I'm here to get something out of my pod. They'll bring it down for you. I'm not sure how much leeway time they need, how much advance notice, but they will bring it down for you. You get your things, close it back up, and they'll put it back in the storage facility, and it is climate controlled. So it is a cool option, especially if you don't have that many things. But again, keep in mind, it's still the cheaper option. It's still definitely gonna be around that $5,700, charge. And it depends on what size container and all those things, but keep that in mind. Oh my God, before moving on to the next point, I almost forgot. It also depends on how far your move is going. So all these numbers I'm giving you are so variable. I'm telling you, it is hard to give an exact number. Sure, I could have done an exact study or something like that, but I'm telling you that there's so many variables when it comes to adjusting moving costs that until you actually do it yourself, you're just not going to have an exact budget. And I'm telling you, don't just go to one place, shop all your options if you're trying to cut those costs down. Okay, moving on. Obviously, one of the other things that we need to talk about is going to basically pull up my notes because I've moved them away, is the fact that, let's say you have a car to ship, right? So we obviously had 2 cars. Now, we had family help us drive the car out there behind us, and we were okay with doing it and the wear and tear and all that. But maybe you have a car that you don't want to drive out there. Maybe you don't really have the support for someone to drive the vehicle out there. Maybe you got kids and your wife needs to stay back with a baby, or you need to drive, whatever your situation is. I'm actually surprised on this one, okay? It's only about $1,000 per vehicle, and that was from California to Florida, like going a pretty long distance. Pretty impressed. I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm sure it's been cheaper in years past, but I mean, I'm surprised, especially being in the military, and we've had to ship vehicles, and I've had vehicles shipped and things like that. I'm kind of surprised that that's where the price sits. I thought it'd be a lot more. Obviously, that's if you are allowing someone to pick up multiple vehicles. Obviously, if you want someone to be dedicated just for your car, like maybe it's a old hot rod, doesn't matter what it is. If it's a car you really want to take care of, you're gonna pay more, obviously. But in this option, about $1,000 per vehicle, and that was just like a shared option. Okay. Obviously, there's a lot of companies that ship vehicles. You really got to do your own research because each one has its own pros and cons. I could do a whole video on that. And if you want a video on that, let me know in the comments below because I'd be happy to kind of dig into that. But it's a lot. So understand that's just a rough price per vehicle. That's if you're sharing a vehicle and letting like the mover move multiple vehicles to you. Or let's say what usually happens is like they'll pick up in California. They'll drop off one vehicle in Phoenix, Dallas, so on and so forth as they get to Florida to cut costs down. But $1,000 personally, I didn't think that was that bad. But man, I guess I could be jaded a little bit. Don't judge. All right, so once you get to Orlando, this is where more moving costs are going to hit you, and that's obviously finding rent, a place to live. I can tell you hotel costs are going to add up massively. It is a vacation city, and you're going to pay a premium if you're living in a hotel for any extended period of time. So I don't recommend you do that. I recommend that you reach out to someone like me, and we build that plan for you, so that way you know what's going on for when you get here. Because no matter what you're trying to do when you get here, if you're not ready when you get here, I've seen it go south before, and it is terrible, and it's not fun to have all your stuff here and you're scrambling to find a place to live. Especially if you're looking to buy a home, like you're looking at like, let's say a 30-day escrow, even after you find the place and get your offer accepted. So like there's a lot of things you need to account for. I'm coming out here. Now, for a 2-bedroom apartment near the city of Orlando, roughly $1,800 per month. It varies, right, depending on what neighborhood and things like that. That's a rough number. Obviously, you can pay more than that. If you're just looking to get a room, it could be less than that. A variable number. And the farther you get from Orlando, the cheaper it's going to be. So take note of that. Now, single family homes, I've seen rents that are being, obviously it depends on the size of the home. I say you're an average home, over $3,000 a month in top neighborhoods to I've even seen $2,000 heading west on the 4. So understand that number also varies. Maybe you need, because like maybe a home might be expensive because that's a pool. Maybe you can go without a pool and things like that. Obviously it's Florida. Trust me, I get it. Having pools are nice, but understand that there are ways you might have to cut those costs and making sure you're good getting up to it. Now, if you are someone who's like, hey, I want to rent before buying when I get here, you have to, again, make sure you have a plan in place because like a lot of leases out here, you'll find like they're not all month to month. A lot of them are going to have like 6-month minimums, 8-month, 12-month is really common, 12-month minimum lease. So you have to understand that might put off your home buying journey. Now, some landlords are really cool about it. You can talk to them and say, hey, I'm looking for 6 months, 7 months. Are you okay if I leave my lease early and have that baked in to where if I look to leave, I don't get penalized? And you have to make sure you understand that because that might lock and delay your plans. But if you don't know where to live and you didn't have the time to do a discovery trip like I recommend, that could be a good option because maybe you could surf around, or you could reach out to me again and we could help you find the exact place just by having a conversation and finding the details to make sure you get the best place possible. Now, I looked up, obviously it's been a little bit, but setting up utilities, I want to get a rough idea of where utilities cost to set up utilities. And it varies, right? It also depends on, I'm not going to give you an exact number because there's multiple counties, districts here for water and electricity and internet and all that stuff. I can't really give solid numbers, but assume you're going to spend, let's say $400, just to be a conservative number between all utilities. Now, but keep in mind that if you're buying a place, or maybe your landlord covers some of these things, or maybe you're bought a condo or townhome and the HOA covers water or internet, there are a lot of variables that can affect that, but that is going to be a small cost you're going to have to do to set up utilities or maybe deposit, things like that. Obviously, utility costs here aren't the best, but they're not the worst I've ever had in a lot of places I've lived in this country and around the world. California was extremely high as well. So keep in mind that there are a lot of things. Also, maybe you buy a home with solar. That could help you as well. My home has solar too. So realize there are costs that can help you with those utility costs even after setting them up initially. Obviously, you're going to need a driver's license when you get here. So I looked this up as well because, hey, people always overlook these small fees, but this stuff adds up. Right? Once you make the move out here, not only the moving costs, getting things set up, the rent, the housing, the crazy food inflation, like it's nuts. You also have to get a driver's license. Are you looking to live here or are you looking to visit? So driver's license, $48. Vehicle registration, average is about $225. Obviously, depending on your vehicle, the age, all that. Title fee, $98. Plate fees, if you're looking to get a special plate, it varies depending on what you're trying to do. So again, all these costs add up, and I feel like no one really talks about it. And in this environment where we're all concerned about cost and making sure we have enough money to get even to the next month sometimes, no matter what your income level is, it can be stressful and it can be annoying even. Like even if you can afford it, it's just annoying to be like, oh my God, another fee I have to pay for. Well, look, if you've never moved states before, all these things come into play. You have to pay for these. I've done it multiple times. And it's a pain in the butt. And the biggest thing I've learned is just to prepare for it, know what you're getting into, make sure you budget for it, and then just getting it done. And that way you can move forward and make sure you live your best life when you get here, which I'm sure why we all come here to begin with. I know that's why I came here, right? Like it's like part of the cost of moving to get better things. So, which is why it's important you make sure you know you want to move here, because it's not cheap. And to spend all that money just for a year later to be like, I want to move back. I mean, come on, like, you got to make sure you really want to make that move, because the mental part of it can honestly sometimes be worse than the financial part. There's always more money. It's hard to get those, the mental clarity to know this is what you want to do and make sure you choose the right area to live and all that stuff combined. And obviously, to wrap everything up, it's the miscellaneous supplies, the food on the trip coming out here, the gas, getting yourself out here, hotel rooms, getting out here if you need them, packing supplies. All these things are variable and they add up. Needless to say, it's not cheap moving states. Now, obviously, if you're more local in Florida, it's going to be a lot cheaper if you're coming from like we did with California and things like that. Heck, even depending on the size of your home, if you got a big home, you can be spending like 20 grand to get out here. And, obviously that's for like a 4-bedroom plus 5-bedroom home, but understand, it's expensive. It's not cheap. And unfortunately, with the gas being high, it continues to push costs higher. So make sure you have all this, worked into a plan, your timeline set up, because if you are willing to spend all this money to get out here, you want to make sure everything's lined up. And if you need help making that plan, and you want someone who's here to help you through the entire process when it comes to coming out here, this number popping low is how you can get a hold of me. Call, text, email, it does not matter. I'm here to help you make that plan, whether it's now or 2 years in the future. This is literally what I do. I specialize in helping getting people to Orlando. I've been there myself, not even that long ago. It's not like I'm talking about 10 years. It's recently. And a few years ago, so look, I'm here to help you get out here. So I hope you got value in this video. I hope it gave you some insight into what to look into. And if you want any more clarification on any more videos, or maybe a deeper dive into some of the topics I covered in this video, let me know in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.